You had different experiences, right? In terms of going from primary school into secondary school?
Yeah,
Because you joined in you joined Forest in
year
secondary
seven.
school, year
Yeah.
seven.
So yeah, I went from a state school into a private selective private school. So it was a
Right.
big difference, really big difference.
Yeah.
What about you?
I was at Forest for primary
Hmm.
and secondary. So there is obviously a transition if you're in the same school going from primary to secondary.
Hmm.
There was a whole other half of the school that I'd not been to ever in my 4 years of primary school. But things like lunch and that sort of stuff stayed the same.
Yeah.
As in like where you go for your lunch and that sort of stuff.
I,
Playgrounds were different, classroom buildings were different.
I
But
did a massive increase in the quality of my lunch from primary school to secondary school,
yeah,
actually.
yeah,
But essentially, I found it quite a challenge because we didn't really have homework that much.
in primary,
Yeah.
right?
Or I know now it's a bit different, but it was quite a shock to go from basically nothing to. I think once I cried because I got homework at primary school because my mum was like, "You got homework to do," and I was like, "Oh," and I started crying because I didn't really want to. I'd never really done it before. It was a new experience, so it was quite hard to get me to
Yeah,
do it.
mine was not like that. We
Yeah.
got we got homework. We got a lot of work.
But then I went from that to forest, which is a lot of homework.
I'm saying we got a lot even in primary school
Yeah.
at Forest.
Yeah. So no, I'm from
From
teaching a lot of kids who go to a private school and attend sort of in year 6 and 5 and stuff like that. I can tell they have a lot of work to do.
yeah, it is something that parents are generally concerned about, but the kids don't really seem to be.
They sort of go up to me and say, okay, we need little bit of time to settle in. So
Yeah,
from the transition to year 6 and year 7, 2 or 3 months just to see how it goes. It's quite a common thing that I've noticed.
yeah, I've seen that a lot. They do their year 6
Hmm.
sats and everything, and then for some reason they seem to need a bit of time.
Yeah, but the thing
The
is,
kids don't
it's
usually. They seem to be. They're a
bothered.
lot more resilient than parents probably realise.
I think children are a lot more resilient than adults.
Do you think it's to do with like the malleability of the brain and stuff at that age?
Yes,
Plasticity, sorry, not
Yeah.
malleability. Yeah,
Like change the shape of their brains. Yeah,
the
I
plasticity.
think
Yeah,
it's a. I mean, this is obviously we're not saying children don't suffer
change.
from because like early life events have a big impact on kids and,
Yep.
and adults in their later stages. But I do think that because they've got that extra room to grow, as it were, they are able to adapt to new environments quite quickly. I mean, you've seen like you got older people and they struggle like when you move them from one place to another to adapt. But I don't think young children barely notice a lot of the time. And I think year 6 they're just about young enough to have that level of plasticity that they can adapt easily. But I do think in some cases it's warranted because if your child has special needs or has has trouble adapting to new situations generally, or they're on the
I mean, yeah, there's
spectrum.
obviously going to be
Yeah,
exceptions, yeah, but most of them, I think, they actually enjoy it,
yeah.
like big school or
But they're much better at dealing with those sort of differences in schools now, and I think they pay closer attention to the welfare of the students than they did in the past. And I mean, I wouldn't say that's true. At Forest, I thought it was quite good. Like, as in the pastoral care was generally pretty good. But I know that in certain places it might not have been like that. But I think now they actually care a lot about mental health is now a thing, essentially. So I think now they've got things in place that actually help children deal with that transition.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
They even I think generally as well, like you think the learning pace. I don't think that was so much of a thing with us because we were just like thrown into it. And I suppose at a grammar school or an independent school, you need to be more prepared for that. But I think generally they're going over a lot of old stuff that they should know from primary school. So
Yeah, but I think they all do that. We
Yeah.
do that here.
yeah, but they go through that period of consolidation because they might have forgotten over the summer break.
The summer learning gap, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think it's so much of an issue now.
Yeah, so the experiences were different for both of us, but obviously both in a similar situation. Something you have to do a little bit further down the line, a couple of years later, is begin to choose your subjects. And for some advice on that, you should probably click over here.